anyone there? Hello. 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 Hello, Shagun Fatima. Good evening. Rochelle White. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining. As you're joining, please start to share. Hi, Julie. May Julie, how you doing? Hello, Jake. Good evening. Good evening, Mofelola. Pastor Nikki, good evening. Good evening. Thank you, guys. As you're coming in, start sharing as well, and also invite your friends. Hello, Fizz. How you doing? Goodwill, good evening. Topsy Gift, how are you? Good evening. So, guys, please start sharing as you're coming in. I hope you're as excited as I am today. After last night's session, I just couldn't wait for today. So, I'm sure that some of you are feeling exactly the same way. If you're not, don't worry, you will do by the time we finish today. So, I also hope that you shared last night's video with other people, especially youth, young people, and even elderly. Share it with as many people as possible. I said young people because obviously they're still in the beginning of their life, and coming to this knowledge will definitely help them to make the right choices and know what life is about. So last night's session was amazing. I know you will concur with me, so please share with as many people as possible. On your WhatsApp, you can also always share. So share. Thank you for joining. So let's start sharing today. Just sharing now for today. Hello, Olayemi. Good evening. Success is with us. Hello, Dr. Success. How are you? Great job with the book, Heroes. Mejule. Anastasia, how are you? Good evening. The real Queen A. Hello, Favor. Thank you, guys. Thanks for sharing. How is your day going, or your week, or your evening, wherever you are? Hello, Innocent. I hope it's all going well. So, we're going to start today. There's a little bit of details in our contest. You guys know already about the contest. If you don't already know about the contest, please go to the page, the Dr. Sunday's homepage. You'll find the information and the contest on there. And tomorrow, I will post it again onto the pages. So if you're part of a group, I will post the information again. I did a couple of days ago, but I think it would have gone up in the feed now. So for your convenience, I will post it again. But it's actually available for your convenience now on Dr. Sunday's page if you want the details. I know you already know about the contest. I don't want to waste much time, and I don't want to go on about it, because I also know that some people, they're upstarters and they're sending us the entries. So well done to the upstarters that are already sending the entries. Hello, Jane. Good evening. Charles Smith. Good evening.
We should be seeing the entries every day on the page. Everybody should be seeing it and following.
Okay. Informa, good evening. Good evening. So I wasn't posting the entries, but Dr. Sunday just suggested we should post the entries. So from tomorrow, we will do that. Chinwei, good evening. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Tony, good evening. So let me start with a recap of what we ended with yesterday, which is a question on what is the purpose, or no, not the purpose. The question was, what is the meaning of life? I know this is an old age question that everyone have asked over years and years. Great philosophers have tried to answer this question, but yesterday was another explosive evening with Dr. Sunday and the answers that he gave us on the meaning of life. I don't even know where to start, but I will try to start as I understand. So, first of all, life is for a purpose. So God created us for a particular purpose. And when I say us, He created you individually. So we've all got our divine purpose on earth and the reason why God created us. And He created us for an assignment. That's linked to a purpose, but we have an assignment here on earth. Then He went on to say that God is manifesting Himself in individual, in each one of us, to bring His purpose to fusion or to come on earth. So what God wants, He's already put them in us to make them reality on earth. So those are the first few things about purpose, about us. And then He went on to give us this amazing...
You better not even try to...
amazing.
To go through the whole thing.
Yes, but
be mindful of your time.
That's why I didn't do the contest, sir, because I want everyone to catch up. Then He went on and said about the journey, how we came to life, and He gave us a quantum physics. And that train, you get off the train when you're born. Your parents or your mother is the incubator. God already breathed into your father's sperm and your mother's ovaries to create you. So you're like an equal. Your mother's tummy or pregnancy is an incubator to form you with the right energy to develop you. So this fast train, everyone stops at their station or their platform. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I can see the internet is a bit slow somehow. Anyway, so at this train station, you stop. Whatever years you stop, that's your years on earth. And in that time, you're in another energy. It's best to operate at high energy. I can go on and on and on, but you really need to watch this again if you haven't already. And even if you have, I think you need to over and over again to have full understanding, full knowledge of how you came about to be on this earth, what God's thoughts are for you, and so that you can gain your power, your energy, and achieve your purpose on earth. So I think it's an amazing session, and I think this session as well will be amazing because we're going to continue from yesterday's or last night's session to ask, because a lot of you ask a few questions that we need to address, and Dr. Sunday is willing to address. So it's kindly accepted to continue from last night, and we shall do that now. So again, I would like to say good evening to a lot of you that I haven't already greeted. Good evening, MJ. Shegun, good evening. Good evening, Innocent. Again, Topsy. Okay, I think I've greeted everyone. Darlene, good evening. Mathel, good evening. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Gregory, good evening. So let me turn the camera to Dr. Sunday, and you can see he's here.
I'm waiting. Let's begin. Let's waste less time.
There he is. He can't wait to get started. So he's waiting. Right. Let's see. So somebody asked a question in continuation of last night. Says, are we going to know that we were on earth when we get to heaven, since we don't remember now that we had been in Christ before birth?
There's a big difference between when we get to heaven and when we are on earth. Yes, while we are on earth, we don't remember the years that we had spent in God. Before now, we don't remember it when we're on earth. And there are many reasons for that. Like I said, we came from a superior place to a place of inferior knowledge. We come from a place of superior understanding, the spirit of superior understanding to a place of inferior understanding. That's why we don't have what we can, so the scope of knowledge that we have here on earth is much more lesser than what we had when we were in heaven. But then that is even not the reason why we can't remember all the things that had happened in God while we were in God. Another reason why you cannot remember all that happened while we were in God is because we were conceived all over again. The only thing that is left in us is our spirit man. But our spirit man was put in a confined environment. And the confined environment is the womb of a woman. It was first of all put in a even more confined environment of the seed, of the sperm and the seed. Then when they are joined together, it happens when it's joined together, that's when our life comes in. Then it's put in the womb where it's concealed and confined. It's located. So during the time of the confinement, why do we need the confinement? Because we need your spirit man to be formed and to carry an image of a physical, tangible being. And for that to happen, it needs, just like the water, for the water to become solid. So, okay, you see this water now. If we put it in the freezer, the block or the image that, if we remove the block of ice that is formed, it will express the shape of this particular cup. The same principle. So but for it to express the shape and the image of this particular cup, it needs to be stiff. It needs to be cemented. It needs to be iced. It needs to be refrigerated. So the same thing with the man. So your spirit man, for us to be able to touch, feel, and your body in the physical realm, because you need this physical entity, tangible entity, to function in a tangible world. That's why you need that confinement in a woman's womb. And so that's what is forming. Just like for this, if I bring out the already formed block now, it takes some time for it to happen like that. It has to stay for a certain amount of time in the refrigerator. The same with the man. So for us to get this body, and so that process of condensing and of registration is taking you farther away from the spirit. Remember, the spirit is not block, it's not material, it's not concrete, it's not solid. The more solid you are, the farther you are from the spirit realm. Remember, I told you that this iPad, when it travels, the farther it goes in the spirit, the quicker it disappears. But it begins to disappear when it travels at the speed of light. Then it becomes invisible. So it has gone to the spirit realm. Anything that gets to the spirit realm, it loses any physical capacity, because the spirit realm is such a high rate of energy. So that speed of light is the highest form of energy that is known to us here on earth. Some people could say they are a greater form of energy because that is already God, spirit energy. So, but when it gets to the light, to the speed of light, it gets to the spirit realm. So that's when you can't see it anymore. It disappears. Now, but for you to make, so this same physical object begins to come back when you begin to slow the energy, to reduce the energy, the intensity of the energy, or the intensity of the vibration. When you begin to reduce to bring it back, to slow down the speed, or then the more the speed reduces, or the energy reduces, or the vibration reduces, this same vapor, the thing invisible that you didn't see, the spirit that you didn't see, the thing that became invisible spirit, the more you slow down the intensity of the energy or the speed or the vibration, it begins to come back. But it doesn't immediately come back to solid iPad. But it first of all begins to come back in form of atom. That's the smallest material thing that is possible. Atom, what are they? Neurons, or smaller particles, and just all kind of, so it begins to go. Then it gets to the bigger particles, or bigger what they call molecules. It goes to molecules, and it goes to just different, all kind of those chemistry or biologic something. So anyway, it starts from like that level, like atom. Then it gets to air, that is already more solid. Also, air is already more solid than atom, for example. The word I was looking for is molecules?
Yeah, it is molecules.
Yeah, is it molecules? Okay. So anyway, so when it gets from that area, it gets to air. Air is still invisible, but it's still thicker and more substantial than atoms. Then it gets to that, from that level of air, it gets to the level of the process through many stages, physicists and chemistry people should tell us more. So it passes many stages before it gets to the level of, to the stage of dew. Like water, like little. Then from the level of dew, it gets to the level of water. But then if you keep on lowering the intensity of the energy, then it begins to be more solid, like ice. Then it, or like sperm. It's not very solid, but then from that level, it goes to the level of ice. Then if you keep on reducing the energy and the intensity of the energy, so the more you go away from the spirit energy, from the spirit realm, the more solid you become. So just like this one, like when this water now, when we put it in heat, it evaporates to vapor. The same thing. So, but when you reduce the heat, it begins to come back like dew. You begin to see the water on top of your whatever seal that you are using to. So it becomes like a dew, Then from that dew, then by the time you leave something, you discover that the water is back in the pot that you have used to cook. It has evaporated, but it has come back again. Then, but if you reduce the energy, but if you keep in the temperature of the room, then it remains just like water like this. That is the place where we have been placed that is conducive for us to live. That is the energy, that is reserved energy for the earth. Between the, 0 something minus something to plus something. So you are still, but when you go to minus, so you have reduced the energy further, and you go to the refrigerator level, then you begin to get snow, like a snowy something. Then from snow, you begin to get to ice. Then from ice, it begins to block, or what they call it, ice block. So, but when you keep on reducing it further, that is how you get solid stuff like this, or metal, or iron. But in the in the case of human, it's a different atmospheric environment and temperature that is only unique to the womb of animals, human and something. So in that is where bone is developed. That is a unique environmental something where your personality comes. So and where that takes a whole process of 9 months. So in that whole process of 9 months, you have totally traveled away from your reality in heaven. You have gone so far that you have forgotten, even before you get to that level of cold, you have already forgotten everything that's evaporated, what was in you, because you have put in a confined, a concealed environment. Why? Because you need to start another life here. You need to start another experiment here on the earth. So while you are here on the earth, it is another reality. That's why you need to conform. You need to be able to conform with the life on earth, because the life on earth demands you not to fly. It demands you to be grounded and to be able to function on the level of the earth, or how earth is supposed to function here. So that is why when you come from heaven, you forget the things that had happened before in heaven. But when you but in some cases, no, let me not go there. But when you go from the earth to heaven, that is more direct. That's more straightforward. And what happens is that you just go back into the train. You remember the train I spoke about yesterday? You go back into the train. Some people complain and think, why should people die of accident? Or some people even think that it's a bad thing if to die of accident, or plane crash, or disease, or sickness, or cancer. It doesn't matter at all in the real sense. What matters is that there must be a way for that your spirit to come out of this body. So you are still the same, but you are confined into that body before. So that now the only thing that you need now is that your spirit, but you will not even notice it because it's a spirit. The energy of the spirit has to come out of that your that's what is making us to have life. That's what we are talking. So and it has to come out of that body by all means. So what happens is when you come out of the body, then you enter into the train, then you keep on going. But as soon as you come out of the body, all limitation ceases. As soon as you come out of this body, all the memory that you used to have before you came here, you begin to have it. Not you could begin to have another reality. You begin to have, maybe it's not immediate, but for there are two categories of people. For the people who will go to heaven, God will come for them. But you begin to travel from here to heaven like air travels, like light travels. I spoke about the speed of light. That's the way you're able to travel. You don't even notice. Some people talk about traveling through tunnel or something like that, but angels come for you. But they are like you. They are becoming tangible in the spirit realm, tangible. But it's not limited by anything. So they could go through. That's why people die. When they die, they go through the ceiling. They don't even notice anything. There's no limitation anymore. So just like there was no limitation before you got, when you were in the spirit realm, now in the spirit realm, there's no limitation again. You go back there's no more limitation. But in that spirit realm, you can converse with, like for example, if two of us die now, in the spirit realm, we'll see each other just like we are seeing each other now, but in a more perfect body. But I will still be recognizing you because there is no body, no flesh that gets hold, no flesh that gets wound, but I will be seeing you original before you are confined. But I will still be recognizing you the way that I'm recognizing you because that is you. Because you remember, anything that was formed is formed to be you, unique. Just like this thing is formed here, but it is still you. So when anything that happens on the earth, the person wants to know, do we now remember it when we get out there? When you get out there, you have the capacity to remember everything that has happened here. But not just that happened here on the earth, but you have the capacity to remember everything that happened before then and in front. But let me tell you the way it will be, the way it most likely is. You remember that you came out of the train. Your place of abode originally was the train, and the train goes like that in the circle internally. But you came out, so it means that a lot of the memories of what happened on the earth, they were outside of that train, because they were down when you were in the bus stop. You remember, you came out of the train to the station, so they were outside. They were happening there. So for you to remember everything that happened there, either you have to go back there again or just the memory of it. But when you go to heaven, the memory of it that you remember are only the good ones. But it's in heaven, everything is perfect. So everything has to be perfect. It didn't happen in that spirit realm. It happened when you were down there. So, but in heaven, since there is no pain, but a lot of things that happen to us here, they have pain. Even love have pain with it. That's why the only thing that will remain, the only memory that will remain with you when you get to heaven will now be the memories of the things that are in line with the Spirit of God, with the life, with the kingdom life. For example, if I go to heaven now, or you go to heaven, I will remember all the good works that I did that are in line with the Spirit. Only things that are counted in heaven are only the things that are done for the kingdom. So, for example, I fell in love, I got married, I did all those things. They might be remembered, they might not be remembered. But they are not more playing any important role in heaven. Because in heaven, the Bible says that nobody will even marry. Nobody will have children. Those things they are basic things that are just for the inferior life of the earth. But there are some things from the earth that are not inferior, that are superior. Like the life of love, a life of faith, the life of light, the life of kindness. The acts and lifestyle that are in line with the principles and the values of heaven. You will take them with you. Let's say, for example, I had money here when I was on the earth, and I used my money, like to just live for my family. I got a big house and something. I will not remember that. But if I use that money also to take care of people, to show acts of kindness that relate to the kingdom of heaven, like kindness, like love, to show love, to demonstrate, because that's what money is supposed to be for. They are instruments and tools to expand the kingdom, the values of the kingdom. And that's what marriage is supposed to be also. Relationship. All those things are supposed to help me extend heaven more. But we are taking it for ourselves. But the things that will go to heaven are only the things that fall in line with the heavenly values. So that's why Jesus was saying that when you are on earth, that you should, gather your treasure. What they say, gather your treasure, in heaven, not on earth, where thieves and more and things will not come and eat it. What he's talking about is that these things, live a life of value, live a life that will, that heaven will recognize. So not all life here on earth will be recognized by heaven. So you will remember those things. Now, one of the main reasons, like I started to say, why we will not remember a lot of the things we do here on earth is that a lot of the things we do here on earth, they don't reflect heaven. A lot of them are painful, and here in heaven there will be no pain. So because there will be no pain, some of those things that will bring you pain, either you will not remember them, or you remember them but with a different view altogether, with a different understanding, that so much that it will not cause you pain, with a superior understanding. But the other good thing about it is that you remember when you came out of that train, the train kept on moving. So you are no more seeing what happened before and what happened in front. You are out of the plane, but out of the train. But when you get into the train, you begin to see the full picture of your whole life, before and in future, after as well. So that is what we are deprived of right now. We are not, because we are outside of the train, so we don't see our future. Right now, we have to pray for God to show us our future. We have to hang on to God. We have to operate in the Spirit to do that, or to see what happened in the past. They are not very easy. But when you are in the Spirit, your life becomes total again. That was just a break, a pause. That's why, but it's out of that train of eternity of Spirit. So we are going to see a lot of the things that happen on earth, but not the ones that will bring sorrow, or that will bring regret, or that will bring some kind of pity or self-pity or things like that. But for the sinners who are going to hell, they are going to be haunted by a lot of the bad things that happen to them, because hell is going to magnify those feelings of pain, of sorrow, of regret that they had here on earth. Because yes, if in heaven there is no pain, and there is no pain, no sorrow, none of those things, but in hell, those things are there. And anything that sets that on fire, all those pain that people experience on earth, will be as if they will be magnified by benzene, by petrol, as if petrol and gasoline would magnify it more. So all those pains of that we feel here is just little fraction of the magnified one that will be in hell. So I don't know if the person who asked that question got the answer or not. It was a very long answer.
Extremely long answer, and it's really blowing my head right now to even be able to contemplate and understand. I'm still waiting for that movie to happen, but
and the book.
And the book. So let me try to summarize as I can, even though I don't think I can really, but from what I understand...
Just keep on asking this next question.
Yeah, okay. Maybe I should just...
Especially if it's connecting with that.
Yeah, then I think so. I think I should ask the next question, because it would be much easier. You just need to watch this again so that you can make sense of it. Don't let me... No. Okay? Okay, people? All right. All right. The next question, sir, is... would it be safe to say that Adam and Eve walked with God before they
Before that, there was a comment that I saw yesterday that says, I think you should have it. If
God has created us for a reason.
Yeah. Can you ask that question, please?
If God has created us for a reason, then what is the impact when we are not fulfilling our purpose on earth?
No, not that. There's one that says, it doesn't mean that the only thing that matters is just the purpose of God. And that will just right here. That will just come all right. I think it's Sherman or somebody that asked that question. Or it was a comment, maybe not.
It was a comment,
but I think I sent it to you.
Okay. Yes, it was a comment. You did send it to me.
So why are you not including it?
Because it was a comment. It wasn't
yeah,
a
but
question.
It's very important comment.
Okay. Let me just... It says... So if this is the definition of life, then we should not be attached to anything in this world. Our life should be for purpose and purpose only. That's the statement.
That's a very, very good observation there. Very important observation. That if why we came out of that train, like I said yesterday, is connected to purpose. And is connected to reflecting God. So it means that the only thing that really matters on the earth is not marriage. But people have messed up our minds. People have deceived us and make us to think that that's what life is all about. So if Jesus didn't marry, he's a failure. If Paul didn't marry, he's a failure. If apostles didn't marry, they are failures. It is just a possibility. One of the privileges and possibilities that we have on earth to marry and have children. But people have exalted that to number one. So this is the thing that this guy did just got. So if we were let out of that train for the purpose of accomplishing and carrying out an assignment for the Father on earth, fulfilling it and going back to him, it means that's the only thing that matters. So I'm so happy that that person herself came to that conclusion all by himself or herself, because that's really what I've been trying to teach and what I've been trying to communicate and convey in most of my teachings. So that's why I said I never will understand a woman that is not married or is not having children that is regretting it, instead of her to be rejoicing. Because everything you have on earth like that, they become your distractions. That's why Paul said, those that don't marry, think about God, things that pertain to God. And that those that marry, they have to think about the things that are outlet. That's a distraction right there. But for you to still be married and then to still be thinking of those of the things of God, you have to be highly disciplined. And that's why marriage really is supposed to be for highly disciplined, highly systematic, highly organized people who will be able to make sure that the distractions of life, like marriage, children, will not distract them from pursuing the very primary thing for which they were created in the first place. So that particular comment is key, is vital. So if we are only sent here for God's agenda and for God's purpose, so it means that, what did she say?
It says that our life should be for purpose and purpose only. So we should not be attached to anything on earth.
That's a very good point. That means we should not be attached. In fact, that is the whole essence of the gospel. Never be attached to any other thing but to the Lord. That is why sin in the New Testament is not what you do. Sin is anything that you are attached to apart from the Lord. So sin in the New Testament is something that cuts your attachment or that separates your attachment from God. So sin is anything that separates you from God and moves you away from Him. Righteousness is anything that brings you closer to your relationship with the Lord. That is righteousness. That's holiness in the New Testament. So that's why Jesus will go ahead and beat somebody up in the church and he didn't sin. That's why Jesus would go with his disciples and, violate the Sabbath, and he didn't sin. That's why he would go into the temple and eat what belongs to the priest, and they didn't sin. And that's why you might not do anything, but just in your mind be lusting after another person, but in your mind you are already attached, you are getting closer, you are getting drawn and attached to that person, and you are sinning even without doing anything. Sin is anything that brings you, that separates you or draws you away from the love or from the attachment of the Father. So what she is saying, that we should only be attached to our calling, and that should be our main purpose. That's why you shouldn't marry if marriage will draw you away from that attachment to the Father. You shouldn't have children if those children will draw you away from that attachment. It will become a sin. So idol worshiping is what they call those things. When you begin to attach yourself to something else apart from Him. But we normally would think that idol worshiping is just when some image somewhere. But anything that draws you away and you are getting attached to, that is idol worshiping. And the only thing that you are supposed to be attached to is to Him and His purpose. So that's a very key question, very important.
Thank you to the person that asked this question, key. But all this has got me thinking a lot. I don't really want to talk about marriage too much or relationship.
You already asked about that particular question that I said, lead people to that one.
Yes.
And if they didn't get it, let's go and listen to that one again, because we already asked the question about why is it important to marry then, or why are you then marrying, or why you don't marry. We already have that, so we're not going back to the past.
Good. Because I want to move on. So guys, there's a lot said as well in this one, which is the things that we're attached to. We're attached to so many things on this earth. Those are the things, not the actual performing something, is what we're attached to. So we really need to look into our hearts to see what we're attached to and what we're doing that are really sins, rather than the activities.
Anybody can do something one time. That is not the sin that we're talking about. That's a mistake, more like. It's a sin, but the more important thing for you not to be attached to those things. Those are the things that really separate you from God. When your heart is being attached to things.
There's so many things that is attached to our hearts that, if I start the list now, all of us, we're committing sin. Now is redefining sin for me.
Yeah, mention some things. I don't even know anything that a heart could be attached to.
Oh, so many things.
I don't know. I don't have any idea.
Oh, okay, I do. I have children in mind, definitely for women especially.
Okay.
You guys can admit
Husbands
that.
too?
Husband as well. Some people cannot live without their husband. Cars is one thing as well. People are attached to their cars. Yes, their cars and their home.
Men especially.
Yes, and their home. A lot of people are attached to their job. Their job defines them. That's who they are. That's what they, call themselves. They're attached to other human beings. They're attached to maybe their pastors. Profession. Yes, their pastors.
Or their parents.
Their parents. Too many things that I can. So that for me, is redefined sin. I really need to look at myself and search my own conscience about the things that I'm attached to. So maybe this is a good task for all of us to understand what sin is and what makes us righteous, because it's getting a little bit intense again, and we've only just started. So I'm getting a little bit worried of some of the things that I'm attached to. You even attached to your body and certain things about yourself. Attached to the way you look, so many things.
Okay, for example, I am your pastor or your leader. You should not be more attached to me than you are attached to Jesus. If your attachment to me, you cut on my head, okay. If your attachment to me is separating you from Christ, driving you from Christ, then that's a sin. But if your attachment to me is moving you rather close to Christ, then that's righteousness. Maybe you were father before, but if you know that this relationship, this attachment is drawing me along, that is excellent. But if it's drawing you away, then it's sin. It's a sin. The same attachment though. But one is drawing you away, one is drawing you closer. That's the difference.
This explanation is really deep, and I don't even know what to make of it, really. Even phones, we're attached to it. Social media, we're attached to so many things that we don't, from this definition, my understanding of attachment, we're attached to so many things that we think that we're okay, we're now home, we're not disturbing anybody, but our attachment is to those things, not just human.
And then we begin to think that we are better than the ones who are sinning, who are gay people, who are
out there performing
or they are
different
gay,
things,
or they are doing party. But it's the same thing, really. Yeah. At the end of the day. So tell us about what other things that people could be attached to.
I've mentioned a few things. If anyone else has suggestion, they can raise it. But I would just say that we're attached to everything other than God, and other than the love of God. Everything else. We're attached to relationships with people, with our friends, with our peers. We're attached to, even the way that we look. We attach ourselves to, I look a certain way, I want to look a certain way. Even the fashion, what we wear, that's an attachment. We get so much attached to it. We think so much about it. Then we think about God, and we think about God's love and even our purpose. So, again, this is really a hard thing for me to grasp. I think this is probably one of the reasons people don't want to go to church and understand the Bible, because when they understand this, it's really hard to then live a life. It's hard to reassess your life and start living right, because I'm wondering, first of all, that what is it that makes me desire all these things? Is it that I've spent too much time?
But why should you? I think it's because you have not been. Either it's because you've been living in the world mainly. Either because you've been living in the world, or you've been coming to church, but you've been living like you are not attached to God. So your religion has not attached you to God. That's what it means. It means that your religiosity, your Christianity, has not been geared towards attaching you to God. Your Christianity has been geared towards, just doing some performances, some activities. So you do some religious activities, like go to church, like sing, like do this, and you think you are good. But that is not the purpose of Christianity. The purpose of Christianity is to attach you to God, or to teach you how to get yourself entangled to God, how to get yourself attached to God through love. To deep that the glue that encourages that glues us to God is love for Him. So that is the love that brings you closer. But many people are loving the church, they are loving pastor, they are loving everything but Him. So it means that all these years of you going to church have not done much for you. If you still feel that you see yourself attached to any of the things, I don't even know that anybody could have been attached to anything again. Even my own challenge at a point was not to be attached to my wife and children, but it was very easy for me to do. Once I read in the Bible, that's why Jesus said, anybody that wants to follow me must first of all hate. He used the word hate. Hate his father, mother, wives, children, and all those things. But it's not talking about hatred. It's talking about attachment. Because those are the things that are sin. That is what it's talking about. It's talking about the entanglement. So that's why Jesus, nobody wants, Christians don't talk about that anymore. Christians don't even understand why Jesus will use that. Christians don't even like that passage, or they don't even refer to it. You could go to church for 10 years and not hear anybody talk about it. But what he's really saying is that, he said, take your cross and follow me. And you must be attached to Him. Follow me means that you must always be drawn. You must always pursue, leave everything in your heart. It's talking about the heart. It's not saying you shouldn't have a family or you shouldn't have children. But your heart must be attached to Him more than to the children, or more than to the wife, or to your husband. So and for me, that's very elementary. That's very easy to understand. And every Christian activity that you are engaged in should be about that, about attaching you more to Him. That's why knowledge is great, because knowledge is supposed to, make you to know why you must draw closer to Him, why you must get to know Him more, why you want to know Him more, and all that. So, but there are two different kind of attachment, like I said. You could be attached to somebody, like you could be attached to your wife or your husband, as far as that attachment is what is drawing you closer alongside with Him. So you are using His own weight, His own knowledge, His own, closeness to God to draw you. That is better. But if the attachment is taking you back, then that's where the problem is. So actually, the only attachment that matters in life, the only assignment on the earth is about this relation with God, reflecting Him, being His image and His likeness. And that's when you'll be able to reflect Him better on the earth. Like I said yesterday, that whatever your assignment is, whatever your packaging is, whatever your calling is still about you reflecting Him, reflecting God on the earth. So attachment to Him is key. That's why we pray. That's why we go to church. That's why all religious activity is supposed to be helping you to get glued and attached better to God and detached more from every other thing. All your religious activities are supposed to be detaching you more from the values of life and attaching you more, or bringing you more to a place of attachment to God.
Well, I'm really sober because it's just, I don't know, I think I've been spending time attaching myself to the world and actually disengaging myself from God. And this realization, this simple explanation, but with such depth, has made me personally realize that I don't even have any attachment to God at all. So, and all the other things that I'm attached to is just, maybe that's why there is lack of satisfaction, because God is giving you something inside of you. He's in you. So if you're not attached to Him, you're attached to something else, then you're still not right in you. You feel like something is not right. So, okay, guys, I'm so sober right now. I just think that we should all think about this. Don't just hear what these words are. And it's good. It sounds good. It sounds great. But you need to understand it and live it and start putting your house in order and fulfilling your purpose here on earth. I'm actually speaking to myself. But if anyone else wants to hear that advice, please feel free. Let's please move on, because there are quite a few questions about this. So yesterday when you spoke about our purpose, that we are here individually for a specific purpose that God has created us for. I've heard preachers and pastors says that, if you're not doing something, God would occupy a vacant position. So let's say you're not fulfilling your purpose now on earth, that God will replace you. But if He created everyone for something individual, could He be also having somebody else to replace you? Number one. And the second part of the question is that if you're not doing what your purpose is, what God created you for on earth, which is like most of us, until we come to the understanding and knowledge, then what is it doing to God's plan? What's that doing to God's plan and purpose?
Can you take them? Can we take them one by one?
Yes.
So the first one.
So the first one is that if you're not fulfilling, if God created us individually for a specific purpose, and we're not fulfilling that purpose, does that mean that He's already got somebody else to fulfill that purpose, because you're refusing, you're not identifying your purpose, you're not doing it, so somebody else will replace you? Because I've heard preachers preaching that occupying vacant position is to scare people really to do things in the church, or if you're not doing it, then God will just replace you with somebody else. But if He's creating us individually for something purposefully specific, is He creating more than one person to do that one thing, or Is he just creating individually, one by one, with different purpose?
Yeah, there are definitely no vacuums in creation. So God will not be at the mercy of anybody. That's true. But this is not connected to church at all. There are some that he has created, yes, and he has called to be in the church. Those are the fivefold ministers. Yeah, but it's not everybody that's called to the church. Maybe 2% of the body of Christ is only called to be full time. Others have their own callings. But so what happens when you neglect God's calling and God's priority and you do your own thing? Definitely, God is not going to be left stunned or perplexed or disillusioned. So God will always find replacement. God will always find other people to do his work. That is for sure. But that doesn't mean that God withdraws the calling he has given you initially. Because the gifts and callings of God are without repentance. So he doesn't withdraw what's upon you. So anytime you'll be ready, you can still come up and take your place. But, the work of God still progresses nevertheless.
Okay. So the second part, which is what is happening when we're not fulfilling God's purpose for our life? What's happening to... I know you said that there's no vacuum. He will still do what he needs to do. But,
that's the first question.
Yeah, that's the second question. The second question is that what's happening to the world? What's happening to earth? If a lot of us are not fulfilling, we're refusing to fulfill our purpose. We're not identifying it. We're just lost. We're too attached to other things. We're not attached or aligned with God. What's happening to earth?
Okay. Well, that is exactly the reason why nobody knows when Jesus is coming back. Nobody knows the day or the hour. And the reason nobody knows the day or the hour is because people are not willing in the day of his power. So, if everybody had been willing, it would have come back. The day and the hour would have been known very fast. They would have come back very fast. But since everybody is engaged with their own thing, nobody knows when the job is going to be done. That's why in Psalms it says that, Psalm 110, verses 1 and 2, it says, sit down. God was telling Jesus to sit at the right hand of the Father, to sit down, that he would not need to do anything again. And then he goes ahead and says, the scepter of your power that will subdue the world, that will subdue the enemy, that will win back the earth, is coming from Zion. Saviors will come from Zion. Sons will come from Zion. Because that's why the whole earth is waiting for, all creature is waiting for the manifestation of the sons of God, so that they will come to the glory of God. But then he says, even though the rod of your power will come out of Zion, but that is under the condition if your people, the people in Zion will be willing in the day of your power. And the day of his power is when we are living the day of the church. Because he said, all power in heaven and on earth has given up to me. That's the day of his power. And he said, I give that to you, the church. But the church must be willing to be less focused on herself and to be more engaged with that power and the focus of God. So that's one of the greatest prayers that the church could pray, that we are not even praying. That the people of God, the church, will be willing in the day of his power.
Okay, I think that's a full answer there. No explanation needed. So there's another question, sir, that says that, so would we see the people that have died? I think you explained this partially, but
okay.
Would we see the people that died that we know?
When we get to heaven, definitely we are going to see again, because heaven is not a place of sorrow and it's not a place of sadness and regret. You are only going to see the ones that are in the Lord, and the ones that made it. So your mind is going to be cleansed and it's going to be pure of the ones that you know here on earth. You know, you just came out of that bus, of that train, and you're only here for like 6 seconds, really, in comparison to eternity. So you're only here for a second, and that's not the big part of your life, really. It is when we're here on earth, you know, out of that bus, that we begin to think that's a big deal, that I was married to somebody here, or I knew somebody here, somebody was my father here. But when you get to heaven, you will actually have more attachment, more intimate love, and intimate, more family, intimate relationship with everybody in heaven than you ever could imagine. So whatever you call intimacy here or closeness here will just fade away immediately. It's just like saying you are traveling from England to here, and you remembered, you just met somebody who passed you by, or who was working at the airport there as the officer, and you just saw him, bye, you're going to Ukraine, okay. And you say, oh, what will happen with him? What will happen when I go to Ukraine, or when I get to England or America? What will happen? How will I forget about him? You don't even remember him immediately you get to England. You don't even remember how he looks anymore, because you see new reality. That's how it works. So the things that you think are big deal, because you needed to fill the space here, you needed to space here, you needed to just engage with something. That's why you are thinking that, because you need to do something. But when you get to heaven, you will just even forget that happened. Just like when you get to England, you meet all your family, everybody. You even forget that you met somebody. You even forget that was an officer in the Ukrainian airport. The reality that is there is stronger, much more stronger than all the 70 years that you spent here. This was nothing. This is nothing.
I think we need to get an eternity.
I have a book on
mind.
This. Yeah, I have a book on this. I spoke about it yesterday. How to overcome the fear of death.
Okay.
It's going to come out.
Okay. So Dr. Sunday has a book on this, which is how.
But I'm going to write another one on this particular one that we're talking about now. But at least what happens after death, I have a book on that. Yes,
okay.
How to overcome it.
So there's a book that is written already, will be published, which is How to Overcome the Fear of Death.
That is already out. Oh. That's already going to be ready in this month.
Yes. So it will be published this month. Yeah. It's part of the 50th birthday books. So, and he's going to write another book. But what I've observed really with this now is that we really need to be eternity minded.
Yeah.
I think our mind is still engrossed on earth.
As if we're here for good.
Yes.
And that's why the question of Pioma was very good. So the only concern we should be having on earth really is about God and his mission. We shouldn't have any other entanglement. We shouldn't have any other attachment. But we have spent our lives attaching ourselves to different things that are absolutely vanity. That's what Solomon was referring to when he said vanity upon vanity. The only thing that really matters is that attachment with God and his mission. Every other thing is a distraction. So, but we make those distractions to become our staple. We attach ourselves to them as if that is what life is all about. We forget about heaven altogether. But we are coming from there and we are going back there. That's what we are supposed to be attached to in the real sense.
Okay. On the one hand, I'm really loving God because of all the beautiful things that He's given us to enjoy. On the other hand, I'm thinking, God, you know that we don't even have that mindset for us and you still give us this choice. You know we have a purpose. Why are you giving us all these other things? So I just see Him as so loving that He's giving us so much, but we don't love Him back because we make those things priority rather than Him.
But that's about our egocentrism. You don't blame God for that. It's our choice.
It is. It's our free will. I understand that. So, guys, that's food for thought or action, not just thought, for action.
Let people share the message.
Yes. Will you please share this message as we're going along, and also invite your friends. Don't just share alone also invite people. You can tap, or if you have a mobile device, you tap on it. So say invite friends and tap. So let's continue. There's a question here, sir, that it says that how can we condense energy to freely see the spirit world? How can we condense energy? This is the quantum physics area.
You see, for you to know how to condense energy, you need to look at the way God did it. The way God condensed energy, the pure energy, was that first of all, we have to identify what are the greatest source of energy, positive energy, God energy, the greatest source of purest energy. The greatest sources of energy are light. That's why Jesus said, I am light. I'm the light of the world. God is light. He lives in light. There is no darkness in him. So when you get to heaven, it's all light. So that's the greatest source of energy. God is light. Another source of energy is love. God is love. That's the essence of God. It's the same thing. Another source of energy is the Word. In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God. And all these things that are the nature of God, the closer the characteristics of God, they are strong source of energy. Patience, forgiveness, kindness, long suffering, just anything you see as positive nature of God, characteristics of heaven, the virtues and the values of the kingdom, righteousness, peace, joy, holiness, purity, the ability to be satisfied. So all these things that we see as the nature of God, the characteristics of the kingdom, they are at the end of the day are the greatest source of energy. So how do we then condense energy so that we'll be able to, what did he say there? How do we condense energy so as to be able to reflect?
Freely see the spirit world.
Freely and fully connect with the spirit realm. Yes. Okay, all these sources of energy that I've mentioned, they are all connected to God. They are all connected to the spirit realm. They are all connected to God. So when you imbibe the nature of these things in you, they transform you, they transpire you, they transform you into the spirit realm, into the God realm. So you are transported, you are promoted to the place of a higher energy. Let's say, for example, you imbibe the quality of love and you decide to love God and people. The more love you have like that, the more nature of God, the more energy of God abides in you. So that way you are condensing through that love the nature of God, the superior energy, the higher energy in your body. So when someone like Jesus, for example, he was a full embodiment of that energy of God in different aspects: love, light, peace, righteousness, all just the best of God were in Jesus. So you remember there was a case in the New Testament whereby Jesus was surrounded with so many people, and while he was doing his thing, preaching, and everybody was surrounding him, then the woman came, a certain woman came with the issue of blood, I think every Christian knows the story of the woman with the tissue of blood. Is it issue of blood or tissue? Issue of blood, yeah. So this woman came with the issue of blood and then touched the hem of Jesus' cloth, of his garment. Then got healed. The blood that was coming out of her,
It
ceased. Yeah. So how Jesus didn't even know he was coming. She was coming. I think that's the way it was recorded there. So Jesus was not aware. But it says that a virtue came out of Jesus that healed her. How do we understand that? In my own mind and in my interpretation, is it okay? Is it going well?
Yeah.
Okay. In my own mind and interpretation, all that means is this. Jesus has condensed so much energy of God, so much positive energy in him. It was a condenser. It was an accumulator. What's another synonym we could use? It was an embodiment, an accumulation of the divine energy, of the God energy. So, and in the what is God energy and the positive energy? It means it is a reflection of heaven. And in the positive energy, in the positive energy, there is nothing negative there. It's pure energy. So that pure energy itself is what came out. It's what affected. Okay, for example, when you are sick, sickness is a negative energy. Any sickness. A lot of things, sin is a negative energy. All these things are lower stuff. But when the superior source of energy comes, and that's why the Bible says we should lay hands on the sick and the sick shall be healed. Because when it said go to the ministers, it didn't say go to anybody. It said go to the presbyters. When you are sick, if is anyone sick, go to the leaders, go to the preachers, let them lay their hands. Why? Because they are the people who are supposed to be condensers or carriers of the superior positive energy of God. Love, light, faith, understanding, forgiveness, kindness. All this positive stuff. So when they come across people who are sick, carrying negative energy, they just need to lay their hands. Even without them laying their hands, if you can just touch them or just be in their environment, you have mood, good mood. You wake up, all your negative, because they don't carry all those same negative energy that you have. Okay, Jesus was not carrying those things that led to those sickness and disease. Jesus was not carrying, bitterness. Jesus was not carrying anger. Jesus was not carrying excitement. Jesus was not carrying hatred. Jesus was not carrying jealousy. Jesus was not carrying any of the. Can you imagine a human being? Did it stop?
No.
Okay. You see the number of people?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you imagine a human being that doesn't carry all that negative energy? When you are when you are devoid of those negative energy, it means you are carrying positive. So when the negative energy comes across the positive energy crushes it. That's why healing takes place. But it might not take place if the woman didn't extend her faith to remove it, to take it from Jesus. And Jesus knew, he said, virtue had come out of me. Because somebody used, other people were just standing around him. There was no connection. There must be a connection. She established a connection. And Jesus didn't even pray. Just the very virtue that Jesus carries, the virtue of righteousness, the virtue of faith, the virtue of light, the virtue of love. That's what Jesus said, virtue had come out of me. It's just the virtue that did the job. And then on another, there was another case when Jesus came in, I think in Luke somewhere, they said while he was yet speaking, the power of God came out. Or the power of God was present to heal the sick. While he was just speaking. So you doesn't need to do any religious thing. You don't need to pray. You don't need to do any religious thing. But because he was speaking, the people who are listening, they connected to him by faith. They believed. They connected with him. And the virtue from him began to go to them. It's just like today, for example, I was in court. In the court. The people there, they look at me as a criminal. So they don't connect to the virtue that I carry. They actually block it. And they just missed it. But the same me, when I come out of there are some people waiting outside for me just to touch them, or for them to touch me. They just, or you come and hug me, or just talk to me. And they begin to testify of miracles. They connect because of their belief and their positive attitude to the virtue that I carry. But when I begin to accommodate all the negative stuff, anger, it blocks and it removes the positive energy. I don't know if I'm answering the question that person asked.
Yes.
Okay. The question was.
Let me repeat it. Is how can we condense energy to freely see?
Yeah, I think I'm giving the direct answer to that.
Yeah, you are.
So let me keep on going.
If I can understand it, believe me.
Yeah, okay. Then let me continue. This is the condensing of positive energy, God energy. This is how God did it in in Genesis chapter 1. In Genesis chapter 1, you will see that God did the same thing. He came and saw chaos. He saw darkness. Everywhere was dark. Shapeless, without shape or form. It was dark. Bad situation. Horrible. But God wanted to fix it. Because darkness like that and formlessness is a concentration of negative energy. So God was not in a hurry. God needed to first of all condense. Just like I spoke about this water. That even though God was God, but it still needed to come, just like this water now, it still is liquid. But if I want to get a solid result, just like with a womb, if I want to get something to be solid, to work on earth, to function here, I still need that time of condensation. So what God did was that He saw all the chaos, all the shapelessness and formlessness and the darkness, and He was not in a hurry to say, let there be light. He allowed the Spirit of God to hover over all that darkness. His energy of God was coming. But even though the Spirit of God was there, He was just preparing the ground. It was just like He was just moving. It was just it's what we call that vibration. The vibration creates speed. So the movement of the Spirit of God is to lower the speed. Because the lower this, if it's the high level of God's speed, is still invisible. But that vibration, the incubation, is like the incubation of the child. The same process of incubation of a child. The incubation of the child in the woman's womb is to make him solid, to make us see a solid baby, a human form. Just like you see the same incubation here in the refrigerator, to make this solid. The same thing, God needed that incubation of His Spirit, His energy to be incubated. So the Spirit of God was moving, but moving in a much more slower than the speed that is over there in the spirit realm of the Spirit. It was converting the speed of heaven to the speed of the earth. So when now God said, let there be light, creativity started, because that's one of the greatest energy. Everything was created from that. I told you some of the most creative powerful energy is light, love, word, and all that. Those are the things that came to operation in the Acts of the Apostle. So through the light, everything came in the beginning, then the word as well. But that also with the essence of God, the love of God, those things were being created from it. So the God's energy was conserved there in the form of light. The Spirit of God, the light, the Word of God.
Yeah. Okay, guys, I think today is very sobering, but this is like deliverance sobering. What I got from this last answer or question is that if we don't see those virtue that were mentioned, which word, love, what else is
all
it?
The
positive energy. If we don't see it, then, or in other people, in ourselves, it means that we're not operating in the virtue of God, and we cannot convert. If we don't see it, or we don't demonstrate it, we don't live it, we don't make it our lives, we cannot operate in the Spirit, we cannot operate in the level of God, and we cannot convert or condense the positive energy that we need to see the Spirit. Hence, for me, even following people or following leaders, if we don't see all these things, why are we following them? If we don't see them do these things, why do we follow? And why are we ourselves not actually converting all this to be able to be spirit being as we are? So this is a huge lesson for me today. It's even, I don't think it's as big as yesterday, but it's more sobering. So I think that maybe we could end here. Or can you still answer one more question, sir?
You have to condense again the questions of yesterday with that of today, so that you'll be able to adjust to them together.
Okay, can I ask one more question?
You can read the people's comments if you have them.
Okay.
I guess.
I do have comments.
Okay, yeah.
Sam, let's start from Sam. Wow. So choose what you hear or think, because faith comes by hearing.
Are you able to see all of them? Yeah, keep on reading what you see. So
it says, so choose what you hear or think, because faith comes by hearing by, I can't say the rest.
The Word of God.
The Word of God, okay. So we have faith is connector to positive energy. Same as fear is a connector to negative.
Meanwhile,
that's Oriyomi saying that. Then we have, that is why Pastor Sunday operates at the level I think is meant to be, level that he does, because he has, somebody's asking, when did the apostle receive the Holy Spirit? But I'll put that another question. Oh God, somebody says, does this mean that if we strive for positive energy in life, and if that they have, oh God, it's not good. I think it's best. Okay, I've got here. And Ezinwe says that the greatest deliverance is the discovery of purpose. Oriyomi says, so close what you hear or think, because, so choose what you hear or think. I read that earlier. Faith is a connector to positive energy. Same as fear is a connector to negative energy. You either operate in fear or faith, and then determine what you will attract. That's what Oriyomi says. Amachi says that is why Pastor Sunday operates at the level that he does, because he has imbibed the pure energy into his person. Anastasia says darkness is a concentration of negative energy. Okay, we have questions here. Unfortunately, that's as far as I can go on my phone. Guys, keep your questions coming. I will get the questions for tomorrow, but I think maybe we should end today because I'm tired. I think Dr. Sunday as well is a bit tired, but we have a lot of questions on this subject, so I think tomorrow again we'll continue as we have today from yesterday. So again, I want to say thank you for joining us. Also ask you to please share.
Is questions pertaining to Pastor Sunday,
yes,
not all kind of theology.
Yeah, but we can't get away from that now, sir. But okay, let me just announce, as you know already, this question time is about Dr. Sunday. It's not really about all these things, but we already started this. This is already started, and we need to get it to completion. So please keep your questions coming, but bear in mind that it's about Dr. Sunday. It's really important that we understand, we get our questions out so that we can understand him and understand, what he knows as his life as well. And also have all these other questions. We can ask them on Friday. So still keep them coming. I will put it down for Friday Ask Dr. Sunday or Ask Pastor Sunday. But again, I would like to thank you. I appreciate everyone for joining us. Please, 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 just these questions and these moments since yesterday, we need to watch it again, and we also need to share it with our loved ones. Share it with as many people as possible so that they can get this information, they can get this enlightenment, and also be the person that they're supposed to be. We can all be the person that we're supposed to be. It's a lot of information for me. I'm sure it is for you as well. So please make good use of them and share. I will see you again tomorrow. Don't forget the contest. Don't forget YouTube. I told you the other day, YouTube is your friend. Sunday Adelaja Official. That's YouTube. And if you want the blog, it's sundayadelajablog.com. So check both out for information, for details, for a lot more teaching than we are that is on Facebook. So I will see you tomorrow. Keep entering the contest and having fun. I'm looking forward to the next few days, and I'm also looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow. So I thank you for joining us today. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.